taking the tires off the trailer. I want you to hear something. Oh, you just can't see that. This is the bearing. Bearing shouldn't sound like this. So that's got to be replaced. To do that, we got to take off this grease cap. This is gonna get messy. Grease cap. Remove the cotter pin. Crown nut. The whole hub will come off. There we go. There's a bearing and seal on this end. I've taken the hub off. I've got it here in the vise. I've got to knock out the bearing and the seal on the other side, and the bearing race, which is this thing here. That's what the bearing runs on. So, I need a hammer. Okay. It'll last for the first pound, I'm sure. Got the bearing and the seal out. I just have to get the race out now. There's the bearing and the seal. That's nasty looking. I'll wear some safety glasses because this isn't the nicest. Bigger hammer. There's the other side. Now get your tools a little greasy. This will get you a little greasy. What I did was I put a rag underneath so I don't get any grease on my vise. Wouldn't want that. Now it's just a matter of putting things in correctly. Gotta get all the grease out of that. There's not much sense paying any attention to these bearings. They are just done. You could tell by the sounds they're making. Nasty, nasty. So, bearings and seals, or seal, and the races go in the garbage. So, now it's time to clean this all off with a paintbrush and Varsol. Clean up my hands a bit here. So I've got a new pack of bearings. This is K&M Bearing Company. Comes with its own grease. New seal. Two new bearings with races on them. I have to install the races into the bearings, or into the hubs. So this is the new race. It's got to go in. I'm going to gently tap that in, get it started. Let's tap all the way around. The old one. Girls are fine. You can use a drift punch to knock this in. So the reason I used the old bearing to pound it in was when I'm pounding, I can scratch this surface where the bearing's right on. I don't want to do that, so use the old bearing or race, and that avoids that. And now it's just a simple matter of knocking the old race out. There we go. Old one's out. All beat up on the edges. New one's in. No marks on it. So now that I've got the new races in the bearing, or in the hub, let's see, there. Got to clean my hands off again. Because now I have to put grease in the bearings. Here are the rattle. Nice. Nothing like a nice little bag of grease. So I'm just going to cut a little corner off of this bag. And then I can use it like a pastry pipe and pipe into the bearing. It's not going to be enough, but it's going to be a start. Here's the fun part now. I squeeze all this grease out into my hand, or some of it anyways. Start jamming the bearing into it. Just occurs to me now I should have piped it into the other bearing, but you don't have to pipe it in. I just do that. So I'm using my hand to squish it in all along here. And the idea is to fill up the entire bearing around where the rollers are. This second bearing, I didn't pipe it in, and I'm just going to start mushing it in, forcing it in by hand. There's a tool you can get that does this. You do it with your grease gun. It works pretty well too, but at the end of the day, you've got to clean up a tool of grease, and you still get dirty doing it. I still have to install the seal, so I'm going to do that now. Goes in just like the bearing races did. So I pounded the seal in. It goes in until it seats. It stops. Now it's a matter of going out, putting the hub on, and the other bearing, a new cotter pin and such. Okay, here's my axle. It's been cleaned off. It's in good shape. What I need to do is install this bearing. Install the hub. Slides on. Goes all the way back. This bearing goes on. Okay, extra grease is in. Our washer. Crown nut. You want this tight enough that the hub will still spin. Right there. Tight, but back just a little bit. There's our new cotter pin. That's that. Tire back on and go. Some bad news. I just went and cleaned out our little friend Coco. Coco's our vacuum cleaner. And Coco's got some problems. He's lost his gears here. So, that's too bad, Coco. Now we're gonna have to employ Bender. Bender's my old shop vacuum. I used to let him go wild in the shop, so he's a Roomba Red. He's one of the first off the line, so we're gonna see how he does. If he doesn't do all that well, I'm gonna put his brush carriage into Coco. But we'll try him out and see how things go. It's a little different. His front tire does that. Coco's, it spins around and does that. Other than that, that's really the only difference. Yeah, well, I'm just blew him all out with compressed air. Got to get the little bits of hair out of here. So that's the side sweep motor. Here's the moment we've all been waiting for, is to see what's inside my oil filter. This is off my Volvo XC90. I had a oil light come on 2 days after I changed the oil in it. Anyways, there are a lot of chunks, a lot of carbon chunks in the old oil. So let's just cut this open. What's that? Let's see. Look at that. That's why my oil light was on. That filter is just plugged. Look at that. That's crazy. Yeah. Well, we now know why the oil light was on. Oil pump's fine. It's pumping chunks, but... So, I changed the oil filter yesterday. Took it on a maybe 150-mile road trip, and it's been working fine. Later in the week, I'm going to change the filter again and take it apart and see what's up again. See how much more junk I've got floating around. I don't know if it's I'm using a lighter oil that all of a sudden released all this stuff, or if the last owner just never changed the oil for ages and ages and ages. Oh well. I'm going to take a few pictures of this and post them on the Volvo forum. I've loaded up the trailer with a couple of sewing machines. Thought I'd take the trailer on a little zip and just check out, see how the bearings are. How I do then is I'll drive around, and then when I stop, I'll feel the hub. If the hub's warm, or if the hub's hot, I've got the bearings too tight. If it's warm, it's okay. I don't really want them to be too hot or too warm. So these are going to the recycling place. They're both broken. Thought since I'm out at Zubik Scrapyard, I just dropped off our old sewing machines in the recycling spot there. I thought I'd talk about these sculptures. These are done by the Fanshawe College second year sculpture class. And this is one of the projects that I was involved with. I got to teach with another professor, Paul DeRossi. This was a lot of fun. The kids have access to everything in the scrapyard. So everything is metal anyways that was steel. So there's 40 acres of this stuff here. And they could make, the project was originally to make a large gestural things. And that's where you get these, like the Thinker and the other samurai guy. And then it morphed into the bugs and the animals. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun hanging out in a scrapyard all day too. It's amazing here, the stuff that comes through here. They take apart trains here. They just have this big thing on a hi-ho and it just picks at them. And they take it apart in about 1 foot chunks. Takes it about a day, but something else. There's somebody else throwing stuff away. Handy this. The recycling spot here. Pretty cool place this. One thing about the sculpture projects, that was the the idea of Zubik's Scrapyard. Not Fanshawe College, but Zubik's. They contacted the college and said, would you like to do this? And to Fanshawe's credit, I'm glad they did. It's a really fun project. I checked the bearings once we got stopped there. Perfect. Everything's just the way I want it. So I'm happy. I've got new bearings, new grease, and we're good for another 100,000 miles or whatever. The problem with these bearings is it's not the amount of miles you put on them, it's the moisture and getting in from sitting. The seals go and they sit, they get rusty, and there go your bearings. I'm going to be cutting this wire basket off of the trailer tomorrow. So I'm going to be using a grinder to grind the welds that hold it on. So I'm losing all the wire with exception of the bottom, I think. We'll see what's easier to do, either leave it or just nip off the I think it's going to be easier to leave it because these are going to be really tough to grind off. Easy to weld on, but tough to grind off. So I'm just going to cut it off here, the grinder. So it'll be a wire cage without a bottom. Gonna put it on Kijiji tonight. Well, I've put the trailer onto Kijiji at a crazy price for the whole trailer, or just that basket part. And it's got me thinking, I'm going to take a look for another trailer, because I think somebody might buy this. If that's the case, I'm going to give it a quick coat of paint, maybe tomorrow if it's not raining, and see what happens. I found the exact trailer. It's green. Doesn't have a box on it on Kijiji as well, so I'm gonna go look at that in the morning. If I can pick that up really cheap, then I'll put bearings in it and build the box on it and sell this one. This is a really handy little trailer. That's why I'm kind of waffling on this, and it'll be handy for someone else, so there's no sense really wrecking it if I don't have to. So that's it. Thank you for watching. I lost some of the footage, so this is it. Thanks again.